On today's edition of the Locked On Knicks podcast, we play a round of buy or sell, including, is this the real Jordan Clarkson? That next on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are locked on to the New York Knicks. My name is Gavin Schall. I'm a New York City native and a credentialed media member that's been covering the team for nearly a decade. He is XJ. He's also a New York City native. I got to give you credit for that too, buddy. And he is the co-host of the Hot Hand Theory podcast. Be sure to check him out over there. This is Locked On Knicks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, your daily podcast on the Knicks, giving you the most detailed insight on your favorite team at least 5 days a week. So we wanted to remind you guys to be sure to subscribe on both YouTube and your favorite podcast platform for the best insight on your favorite team every single day. It's the best way you can help us grow the show, and you can join right around 10,000 other Knicks fans on the YouTube side in doing so. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. We are talking a round of buy or sell, XJ. A couple of fun topics we came up with for today's show, including if this is the real Jordan Clarkson, because I think he surpassed both of our expectations of late. If the Brunson-KAT two-man game, that to use a Clydeism, seems to be percolating a bit of late, can it truly be elite under Mike Brown? And will the Knicks be a top 10 defense by the All-Star break? They're right on the cusp right now. But we start our day with Jordan Clarkson. I think, tell me if I'm off on this, I think it's fair to say neither of us were the biggest Jordan Clarkson fans coming into this year. We had relatively low expectations. He's played back-to-back 2 awesome games. So buy or sell, Jordan Clarkson maintaining this level of play throughout the season?
First, I want to say Jordan Clarkson has historically been, I got to be honest, Knicks fans. You guys know if I'm anything, I'm honest, one of my least favorite players in the NBA. And when the Knicks signed Jordan Clarkson for the contract that he got, I said, it's okay. Yeah, no issue. My only issue would be if he was playing big minutes and playing ahead of guys like Deuce McBride. That being said, didn't expect him to play the way that he has played so far right now. And in fact, if Jordan Clarkson was playing the way that he has played in the last couple of games, he would not only not be one of my least favorite players, he'd be one of my favorite players. He's playing 180 degrees differently than the Jordan Clarkson that we've seen in the past. 22 catch and shoot threes, Gavin, versus 6 pull-up threes on the season so far. That ratio is completely antagonistic to everything he's done in his career so far. Throughout his career, he's been dangerously close to a 50-50 split between pull-up threes and catch and shoot threes. In one season, he had way more pull-up threes than catch and shoot threes. For those who don't know, that's probably not good unless you're a guy named Steph Curry. And so right now, he's behind Deuce McBride in average seconds per touch, in average dribbles per touch. And he's cut down his mid-range shots. He's getting the ball. He's getting the ball all the way to the rim and getting shots at the rim. He's down 4 mid-range attempts per 75. He's down 4 mid-range attempts per 75 from around 7 mid-range attempts per 75 the previous 2 seasons. He's being just as aggressive with his shot frequency. It's not like he's scaling back how much he shoots it. He's just taking dramatically better shots. Who is this Jordan Clarkson? It doesn't make sense to me that he would just change and become an entirely different player. But if that's the case, then this is a great player. This is an amazing ad. This changes everything for the Knicks. And I know that sounds exaggeratory, but you have a three-point shooter who is a great three-point shooter when he takes good shots. And he's doing that so far, and he's cutting down the bad ones. Anytime you have a guy, and we've seen it, we all know, Knicks fans who have seen Julius Randle change his shot diet from a really, really bad shot diet to an amazingly good shot diet, and that turned him from a solid player to an all-star level player, to an all-NBA level player. And you can make those significant differences when you make those different, when you change that shot diet. And Jordan Clarkson has done it so far. Do I buy or sell that this is his level? That's the question. I saved it for the end, Gavin. I wanted to give Jordan Clarkson all of his props so far because I am happy to admit that I'm wrong. If I'm wrong about Jordan Clarkson, I would love to be wrong about Jordan Clarkson. I'm going to have to sell right now. And I'm going to sell right now just because, again, I have a really long career of evidence to suggest that he plays in a particular way. I do think that coaching matters a ton and can dictate the way that guys play as they get later in their career. Maybe they'll be a little bit more open to change. And so I hope that this is real. I hope that it continues. But if you have to make me answer right now, I'll have to sell it. And I hope that I'm wrong. And I hope that I can come on here in 2 months from now and say, man, that was a terrible call. I should have bought that. So that's where I'm at now. But pleasant surprise with how Jordan Clarkson has played so far.
Yeah. Well, I'll start off with this. Last 2 games, he's been exceptional. You combine them, 39 minutes, 30 points, 4 assists, 11 of 19 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3, 3 for 3 from the foul line. That's everything you could dream of from the guy. And my pitch when the Knicks got him was that this was a team desperate for advantage creation, desperate for just like creation period, right? Like a guy who could find easy shots for his teammates. And I think at the moments Jordan Clarkson has been at his best this year, it's been the inverse of that, where it's not him creating the advantage and creating easy shots for OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns. It's been his ability to play out of an advantage that is where he's really thrived. Like we've seen him these last 2 games hit a bunch of those pull-up threes that you mentioned in transition. Josh Hart getting back to full strength, I think is a major boon for his efficiency, because every time Josh Hart gets out and runs, he's doing like a really good, I think it was back-to-back possessions where he created it like he zipped one inside, and then I think it was either KAT or OG, sprayed it out, and Clarkson got a floater, and then the next possession hit him on the wing. Clarkson got fouled from 3, got 3 free throws. Like, it is dramatically upping his efficiency that he's playing through everyone else. And I think that is a testament to Mike Brown's offense, that he's turned all these other guys like Mikal, like KAT, like OG, like Deuce, that have been like pseudo creators throughout their career, but none of them in the same stratosphere as someone like even I was going to say Jalen Brunson, but forget Jalen Brunson. Like, none of them in the same stratosphere as someone like Julius Randle. And because of the pace of this offense, because of the dribble handoffs, because of the counters that they have in terms of like the cuts, when teams overplay those dribble handoffs, they're able to find advantages out of thin air in the half court. In transition, they're able to find advantages out of thin air in the full court. And Clarkson is consistently able to either get good looks at 3 or pump and go into a floater, or pump and go and then make the next pass. And I'm still hoping we get more of that playmaking from him. He's at 1.5 assists per game. Not that his numbers were ever great in Utah, and he's only playing 16 minutes a game, to your point. And this is something we're both enthused about. Like, he's prioritized Deuce McBride. He's somewhat prioritized even like Landry Shamet over Jordan Clarkson, which is not something I think either of us expected coming into the season. I would still like to see that assist number go up for Jordan Clarkson. I think it can. I hope he leans into that part of his game. But right now, like, the scoring is something that is much needed off the bench, and he's just been a really good play finisher for this team. I think I'm with you in that, like, ideally there would be a hold option, and I would be able to take that, because I do think in the regular season, maybe not, like, the efficiency will vacillate a lot, but I think he'll be able to do something of a fast similar to what he's doing right now for the rest of the regular season. I think in the playoffs, where defenses are a little bit more locked in and those other guys aren't able to spoon feed him the same way, I think the efficiency will drop off. I think some frustration will set in. The shot selection might regress a little bit. So in the playoffs, I'm definitely selling it. In the regular season, I'm going to say I'm half-heartedly buying that he can be a similar guy to this.
I love that you threw in the hold option. If I would have known there was a hold option, no,
right, audible.
No, I agree with everything you said. I think you said it really beautifully about Jordan Clarkson being a play finisher. It's like this weird situation when you look at a guy and you're like, man, this guy has such a great skill set, and he's been using it in a particular way his entire career, which is as a creator, as a guy who operates off the dribble. And then when you look at it and you're like, if you can just be a play finisher, a spot up guy, a guy who catches and attacks closeouts, a guy who attacks advantages as opposed to creates advantages, this guy all of a sudden becomes like a fully actualized version of who he could be, and that seems to be the case for Jordan Clarkson. And I'm gonna hold now. I'm gonna hold since I know that that's an option. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna switch my pick, and I'm gonna hold.
Yeah, I pulled that one out mid episode. You know, it's funny. He kind of reminds me of, which easy comparison because he was on these teams, but like the difference between J.R. Smith on the Knicks and J.R. Smith in Cleveland, right? And like that is like J.R. Smith is a better version, I think, of the same player. Like, he's just bigger, better vertical athlete, better shooter, like more talented iteration of the Jordan Clarkson archetype that we've seen so often as six man in the NBA over the years. And yet, like, we saw J.R. Smith at a similar point in his career on an even better team than the Knicks team, but like similar concept where they had like a heliocentric point to play through in LeBron James. They had some tertiary stars, and he was able to scale back his game to like, hey, I'm great at shooting, and I'm great at like finishing around the bucket in transition. And Clarkson, like, I'm going to phrase it as like, since he's become an adult in an NBA context, because when he was on those Cleveland teams, he was really young. He was still like even more erratic, I think, than he is today. Then he went and played on Utah for years where like they needed him to like Jordan Clarkson out. They were like, hey, indulge your every impulse. And the Knicks need like a precise, surgical, scaled back version of that. And I wouldn't go so far as to say they've gotten that so far. They've gotten maybe 75% of the way there. And if that's all they get, like, that is still a really helpful player on the veterans minimum. But XJ, we still have a bunch more buy and sells to get to. When we come back, do you buy or sell that the Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns two-man game can be elite under Mike Brown? But first, we want to tell you about our good friends over at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. I think on the Wizards broadcast, or maybe even on the MSG broadcast last night, they had the FanDuel line. It was minus 18.5 at the start of the fourth quarter. I'm always going against the Knicks in that situation. It just feels like they take their foot off the gas when they get that big lead, especially under Mike Brown, because they'll actually play the bench guys to end the game, as we saw last time out. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We also want to tell you about our good friends over at Rugiet. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it so easy to get started. You just get connected with a board-certified doctor, 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. So visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, what's up, guys? We are back playing a little round of buy or sell. XJ, I know this is one you have a ton of thoughts on, so I'm just going to toss it to you. Do you buy or sell that Mike Brown can push the Brunson-KAT two-man game that in the 2024 version of the combo was the best pick and roll duo, or at least in top three in the NBA, back to those heights, maybe even beyond that?
Buy. Give me if you out there in the audience, if you listening to this right now have stock in this and you want to sell it, I will buy it all right now. Trust me. The thing is, I believe so wholeheartedly that the Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson pairing is a perfect pairing if it's deployed correctly. I know a lot of people have challenged this. A lot of people doubt it. They don't believe it. They worry about the defensive end, and the defensive end is a concern for sure. And we'll talk about that in our next segment. But for right now, we're talking about offense. We're talking about Brunson and KAT. We're talking about guys whose specific talents are such that when they have advantages, they can be two of the most elite, devastating, impactful offensive weapons in the game. And I'm seeing some really, really encouraging stuff, Gavin. So in the Bucks game, I think that Brunson Towns kind of interactivity or actions with both of them involved was basically non-existent. Like I watched that game through back, on NBA.com. When you have League Pass, you can watch like the every possession view. So I didn't get to see everything that happened on the game, but I watched it back. They only interacted 4 times, 4 times all game. So it could be a couple more, but probably not much more. I watched every possession. 4 times is completely insane. So I was very concerned about that. But then we saw in the first Bulls game, the one that the Knicks lost, there was clearly a concerted effort to have those two play together, to interact with one another. And especially towards the end of the game, they basically spammed Towns' Brunson action at the end. Towns just missed a bunch of shots, but Brunson hit him with great passes, and he got wide open shots. And since then, we've seen them interact a bunch. We've seen Towns as sort of an offensive hub really dominate against the Washington Wizards. But we see a ton of Brunson coming off of dribble handoffs, off of cuts in situations where we haven't seen him a bunch before. And then we're also seeing pick and pop between Towns and Brunson, and even Towns and Yabusele, which I think just sets up Brunson to really drive home, the ability to really make those passes sharply, because Yabusele plays in some ways like a poor man's Towns. So I really love that pairing. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be one of the best in the world, best in the league and the best in the world. And I think at the end of the season, when we see that points per attempt, that points per shot, and we see that interactivity, it's going to be right up there. But not only that is it going to be really high in terms of effectiveness and efficiency, but we're going to see a ton of volume as the volume is starting to spike. Mike Brown is being rewarded for it. I think he'll continue as given that reinforcement, and I think we're going to see that continue to spike as the season goes on. It's only going to get better and better and better with more space, more Towns at the 5, more Brunson playing off the ball. All of these things are really, really good for the two, and I think that's going to be one of the best pairings offensively in the league. And so I'm buying. I'm doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, buying this all the way.
Yeah, I am with you 100%. Hardcore buy on it. I've been so excited about what we've seen over the last 2 games, and I think Mike Brown is just being so smart about how he's structuring this, and it's why I'll raise my hand here. Like, you shouldn't overreact to the first 5 or 6 games, because it's clear like he's slowly incorporating what the full vision of this offense will eventually be. And I think what's helped them a lot is that everything is grounded in, I don't want to say everything, and some of this is that Mitchell Robinson has been like hurt for the majority of the year, but they've played a ton of 5 out. I think more 5 out than either you or me expected, certainly when Mike Brown was first hired. And we also talked about this all of last year. That makes the Brunson-KAT interactions that much more powerful, because to your point, these are 2 of the 10 to 12, if you want to be conservative, best offensive players on the planet. When you put them together, a third guy is always going to be hovering, and sometimes even a fourth guy is going to be hovering. When you have quality shooters, and in a season where Mikal Bridges is not 34% from 3, Mikal Bridges, but he's 45% from 3, Mikal Bridges, and you have to honor that. And you have to honor OG shooting 40% and taking 8 of them a game. All of a sudden, it gets really, really tricky to figure out the math defensively and figure out how do you commit an extra guy to whatever Brunson and KAT are doing. And what they're doing generally, like, is pretty simplistic. Like, it's nothing crazy yet, but just because of who they are and their gravity, you have to commit that extra defender, but you can't commit that extra defender because there are shooters all over the floor. And we've seen just a number of like really exciting examples of it. Like, there was a play in the Bulls game where KAT screens for Brunson, 2 stay with KAT. Brunson is the ball. He drags 2 defenders with him. You see every time Jalen has the ball in pick and roll and he dribbles it out, like 2 defenders go with him like glue. Like, they don't go away from him. Then he can just throw a little hook pass over the top to KAT. And in that particular one, like, KAT missed the 3, but it stood out to me because I remembered last year, like, our buddy Prez for the Strickland did this whole like 8-minute YouTube video on like, and it was just a super cut of Brunson missing that specific hook pass to KAT and like not recognizing it, not seeing it. He's making those simple passes now. And that is going to empower KAT to like the nth degree. And it's like day one NBA point guard stuff. But just because they got thrown together last season and the spacing was so mucked up and defenses are doing different things, I don't think Jalen didn't really figure that out until the playoffs last year. Now you're doing it in like an optimally spaced situation. You can do that and even like expand on it. Against the Wizards, I highlighted some of them earlier this morning, but they're starting to develop counters on those dribble handoffs where Brunson will like dart one way and he has either the option to like go all the way around on the dribble handoff and just run through it, or almost be like a wide receiver and juke towards the ball and then cut back the other way. On that particular one, KAT hit him. He drove and he just zipped it to the corner to Landry Shamet for a wide open three. I know I'm getting a little in the weeds here, but I say all that to say, like, there's just so many different like permutations of this, and it's only going to get better. Like, you and I looked at the numbers before we started the show today. KAT has shot terribly in these plays so far. He's been like near the bottom of the NBA as both a roller and a spot up guy. The second KAT starts shooting like KAT, you're going to see the numbers for this duo shoot right to the top of the NBA.
Karl-Anthony Towns is shooting 9% on mid-range shots right now. I didn't stutter. 9% on mid-range shots right now, and 50% at the rim. He has been just really bad in terms of finishing so far. It's just that's just the reality. But guess what else that means? We've talked about this before. When it comes to variance, that means that we're going to see a dramatic swing the other way, because Karl-Anthony Towns hasn't suddenly become, gone from one of the best shooters of all time at his size to a horrible guy who doesn't know how to finish the shots and doesn't know how to shoot a basketball. So we're going to see a big swing the other way. I think, you hit on so many great points, and I really would want to drill down on one of them particularly, which is that pick and pop pass that a lot of people have talked about Jalen Brunson missing repeatedly, and he has not made the pass consistently enough. But I have felt like I've been taking crazy pills. I feel like I've been on an island saying, do we think that Jalen Brunson can't make this pass? Do we think that he just refuses to and won't and can't do it? I think that when he has a coach who drills in him that you need to make this pass, this is the highest efficiency option that you have at your disposal, even though Brunson in his mind, I believe, thinks if I can get close to the basket, I'm going to make that shot way more times than I'm going to miss that shot. So I'd rather take that shot than have somebody else take a 3-point shot that is probably going to go in at best 40% of the time. In this case, if he is playing and buying into Mike Brown's system, that pass we're going to see made way more often, because it's not that Jalen Brunson can't make it. It's not that he doesn't see him. It's not that he just, hates Karl-Anthony Towns and refuses to pass him and all of these like crazy hypotheticals that people have come up with. He's going to make that pass if he buys into the system. It seems like he's doing that so far, and I'm really excited to see what that results out into.
Yeah, all extremely well said. I think it's a great distinction, because a lot of times it is he's so confident, and that's what makes him great. And that's what also maybe stops him from making the easy play at times. But Mike Brown, I think, unlike Tom Thibodeau, because I think Tom Thibodeau was thinking the exact same way. He was saying, if you can score, go score. I think Mike Brown's saying, let's get all KAT a shot here. Like, one, it'll keep him engaged. Two, like that is also like an incredibly high, if you get KAT an open three, that is one of the best shots any player in the NBA can take at any time. But we still have to talk defense. When we come back, we're going to debate if the Knicks can be a top 10 defense leading up to the All-Star break. All that next right here on Locked On Knicks. First, we want to tell you about our good friends over at Gusto. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise changes at the end of the month. Gusto's automated tools offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits, which save me hours each and every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime gives you real peace of mind. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, we are back to wrap up this buy or sell episode of Locked On Knicks. Do you think the Knicks will be a top 10 defense by All-Star break? For context, they're 13th right now, and Mitchell Robinson has played exactly in 2 games this season. And the first one, he didn't really totally look like Mitchell Robinson. The second one, he kind of sort of looked like Mitchell Robinson. So I say all that to preface that there's a decent argument for this.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson has played 32 minutes so far this season, and 32 very interesting minutes in terms of his conditioning and really what he looks like. Like you mentioned, he looks like himself, doesn't look like himself. So I think it's fair to say it's a wash with the Mitchell Robinson minutes. He hasn't been a super impactful player so far, which makes a lot of sense. That being said, I want to talk about Karl-Anthony Towns again really quickly in a different context. In the context of the defensive rating with Karl-Anthony Towns, according to Clean the Glass, with him on the court, in all context of Karl-Anthony Towns being on the court, ostensibly a really bad defensive player, a low-impact defensive player, as many people believe, the Knicks are currently have a 111.6 per 100 defensive rating with Karl-Anthony Towns on the court. If Karl-Anthony Towns played 48 minutes per game and had the Knicks had that defensive rating, that would be tied for 5th in the NBA defensively. And that is with your ostensible worst defensive player on the court. This could mean a lot of different things. It could mean nothing because it's such a small sample size. But let's say we were to put some credence into it just for the sake of the conversation. This could mean that maybe Karl-Anthony Towns isn't the worst defensive player on the team or as bad as some people think. But it could also mean that the Knicks are so good offensively when Karl-Anthony Towns is on the court that it is having an impact on the way that other teams are able to score against them. And it could mean that when you play this kind of 5-out construction, in which when Karl-Anthony Towns is on the court, oftentimes that is the case, it could be that has other downstream impacts that make it so that it's not, oh, well, you have an all offensive team, so of course you're going to give up a bunch of points. There are mitigating factors here, especially when Towns plays with a guy like Miles McBride. If he plays with Miles McBride and OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, that threesome is really, really potent defensively, such that I think that they can hold down for a lot of the issues that involve Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. Maybe Karl-Anthony Towns is being deployed in a better way. For instance, defensively, he is very switchable, in my opinion. He's also just played better defensively. Like, just to my eye, just watching him, we don't have data on this at this point right now, and defensive data is really hard to come by. But his motor has been better. His ability to contest has been better. His fouling has not been better, and that's my main concern with Karl-Anthony Towns defensively at all times. But all of this is to say, if Mitchell Robinson hasn't played very much, and we're kind of discounting his minutes, the Karl-Anthony Towns minutes have been really, really good, despite the fact that when he's been on the court, it's been a ton of 5-out. They basically don't have many guys who are known for being defensive players besides OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges to a slightly lesser extent. And they're still decent defensively and really, really good when Karl-Anthony Towns is on the court. So I'm gonna sell them being a top 10 defense. And that's only because I think they'll be the best offense in the league. I think they'll be a top 1 or 2 offense in the league. And I think overall their net will probably be will be top 5. If I was to say they're going to have the best offense in the league and a top 10 defense, then that would mean that they're the best team in the league, bar none. And I don't know that we're going to see that this during this regular season. I think we can get there by the postseason. But so just by virtue of me kind of modulating expectations for what the Knicks are going to look like moving forward, I would probably sell this. But I think there are some really nice defensive indicators so far at this point.
Yeah, I'm taking a slight sell as well, and I think that is mostly for the same reason as you. Like, I don't know, logically, I could see them getting there. They've played some of the better offenses in the NBA so far, and like, who knows if this will hold up. But right now, the Bucks are 4th in offense, the Bulls are 5th, the Heat are 11th. Like, they face legit competition for the most part, and they've held up pretty decently. Obviously, like this last game against the Wizards helped. Like some of the playing the Bulls without Kobe White or Ayo Dosunmu certainly helps. And Mitch is still arguably their best, at least on a permanent basis, defensive player, their most impactful defensive player, or at least like neck and neck with OG Anunoby for that title. So it stands to reason they will make a jump. I would expect them to probably stick closer to 13th just because other teams are going to, well, that's not even the best way to phrase it. Like I was going to say other teams are going to find their offense a little bit more, but obviously every team is dealing with the same sample size right now. I don't know why I don't believe in it. Like OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, like I kind of think their playmaking on the defensive end is sustainable. Like we're coming off a game where OG got 5 steals. Feels like Mikal is getting like 2 steals and 3 blocks like every game now. Like I do think the gap help scheme is empowering him so much. You're getting Mikal off the ball more and more. Like it feels like he's in such a different place defensively. To your point, it feels like KAT is being put into better positions. The more that Mitch is on the floor, the less he'll be asked to do like the stuff that he's worst at around the rim. But even despite the quad injury, like his rebounding is fantastic right now. Mitch is only going to make things better. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to like, there's just so many exploitable guys on this roster, namely Jalen, namely KAT in specific situations. Clarkson has played with really good effort and focus for the most part on that end of the floor. I wonder the extent to which that sustains. I have to look into some of the shooting luck. I think for the most part, teams have not been red hot against the New York Knicks so far, though I could be wrong about that from 3-point range. I think I'm just ultimately like not a believer in the personnel to the point that I would be super confident placing them top 10. I think they could be just outside of that though. And to me, like much like the Denver Nuggets a couple years ago, I'm with you. I think the offense can be so good that is still borderline the profile of a title contender, even if they don't quite get there defensively.
To your point, teams are shooting.
Oh, thank you. That's great, man. Good to have you on the pod. This is what I love. Thanks. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. Teams are shooting red hot against the New York Knicks.
Oh, I was wrong. Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe they will be a top 10 defense. Every time I try to make an argument, it's like, no, they played good teams. No, their best players hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, teams are shooting nearly 40% against the Knicks right now from three, which would be second worst, I don't know how you would say it, second worst, second best. Not good for the Knicks in terms of teams shooting that high a percentage against them from three. So yeah, I think there would be some regression on that. I don't think it's because their defense is so bad. I think teams are shooting really hot against them. But I will say, if we just kind of think about the teams there, the teams right now below them, obviously it's so early to look at defensive rating, but really quickly, the teams below them are, a few of them are Orlando, Indiana, and Milwaukee. I think those teams are going to be really good defensively at some point. There's a lot of competition for being top 10. I just don't think it's very important that they're specifically top 10. I think, like you said, if they're around 13 and it's kind of like close, it's like neck and neck with a few teams, that'll be good enough because their offense will be so good. So I think that's totally fine.
Yeah. All right. Positive note to end on. We buy a lot of stuff. Jordan Clarkson, we're holding, which we both found out was an option in the course of the episode. It wasn't dishonest on my part at all. So that'll do it for this edition of the Locked On Knicks podcast. He's XJ. I'm Gavin. Well, thank you so much for listening. Remember to subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon on Locked On Knicks.